Damien Tomlinson is the most seriously injured on this walk. In 2009, both his legs were blown off by a Taliban bomb. Tell me about the day you were injured. How did it start?
I think about all I can tell you is the sun came up. The sun definitely came up the day that I was injured.
Is that the extent of your memory?
That's it. I haven't even got the sun coming up. I just know it happened because it does.
What Damien doesn't remember, his commando unit has filled in.
I was in the 5th car in our convoy. I hit an IED.
Damien was blown out of the vehicle. Both his legs were severed. He also had severe head and chest injuries and could barely breathe.
It's been described as rasping.
You were rasping. Really. You were lying on the ground, dying, rasping.
Pretty much. So, yeah. And then, yeah.
And who came to you?
That was Scott.
His close mate, fellow commando Scott Palmer, was in the vehicle behind. Despite the threat of further attack, Scott risked his own life to save Damien's.
Right after the explosion that hit me, Scott basically ran from a moving vehicle just to get on site and start administering first aid to me, which is essentially the reason why I'm here.
That night, Scott rang his dad.
He was pretty upset. And he said, I just had my best mate's legs blown off. And it's, yeah, I won't mention the language on here, but just put a simple way, he just meant it was a shit, you know? And he said, it's just terrible. He said, just like people back home don't see this, what happens to your best mates, you know?
Scott continued on operations with his fellow commandos. Then, on June 21st last year, Scott was killed when his Black Hawk helicopter crashed. A veteran of Timor and Iraq, he died just a week before he was due to come home. Only 27, he'd planned to walk Kokoda with his dad Ray.
So this Kokoda for him and I to do was going to be very, very important. It was going to be like a bonding moment.
Instead, Ray, himself an ex-serviceman, is walking with Damien, the mate Scott saved.
Me being able to do this in his honour with his dad is, it's one of the proudest things I've been able to do. Yeah.
29 Australian soldiers have died in 10 years of war. The men have thought deeply about Australia's involvement, and they don't all agree about whether it's worth it. For David Brown, the death of Australian soldiers, which has affected him so deeply, means little to the locals. So they don't appreciate the loss of lives like Snowy and Smithy?
No, I wouldn't think so, no. Not that I saw anyway.
And I guess you wouldn't think it would be worth laying down your life, and leaving your family for a country that...
That's exactly right. I don't think it's worth it.
Do you believe in the cause?
Oh. Shit, I could get in trouble saying the wrong thing, couldn't I? I believe we need to... We don't want to be walking around in fear if something's going to happen. People saying it's dragging on too much and that we're all there, we all believe we're looking after Australia in that way. We don't want to be walking down the street and having... Well, I don't want my wife and son walking around one day and be afraid there's going to be a building blow up.
Flying in to meet the diggers is the former head of the Defence Force, Peter Cosgrove.
You're all right. I'm proud to shake a dirty hand. How are you, Ronnie?
He's known as a soldier's general.
I'm all right here.
His own son was injured in Iraq.
Good to see you.
Every day he worries about our men and women in Afghanistan.
Given the cost, do you think it's now time that we get out of Afghanistan?
I think we should review Afghanistan every day, every week, every month. We should always be saying, what are we doing? Are we doing it well? Is it useful? Is it worth the risk our people take on?
See you, mate.
I've done it for you, all right? I've done it for you, okay, mate?
Do you think Snowy would want you guys to go back?
I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, probably. No. I think he cares about us too much. But he, at the same time, there's a job to do, and that's our job.
Ronnie Sadler with that report. And the organisers hope to make the Kokoda Trek for Wounded Veterans an annual event. Our thanks to ex-commando Brian Freeman, who laboured for 6 years to make it happen. And if you'd like to learn more about the remarkable work Brian is doing to assist our diggers, the details are on our website. Coming up after the break, monster ships.
The industry's got bigger, the ships have got larger. They've revolutionised cruise travel.
Dining room is fully packed. It's showtime.
This is peak out.
This is peak out.